So India fought back resiliently on day 3 of the third test at Headingley. They started the day by taking both of the English wickets quickly within 9 runs. और फिर 354 runs के deficit पे start करके they batted magnificently well. They scored 215 runs for the loss of 2 wickets और अपनी lead उनकी अब सिर्फ 139 runs की रह गई है. तो आए आज की performances के बारे में and the match possibilities उनके बारे में बात करते हैं with our guest Hamza Khan, who's based in Seattle and originally from Lucknow, India, on this volume of
CRIQAZI DIARIES.
Have a look at that, smiles up, oh, it's nearly taken someone out of the stands. That was a flat 6 right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went like a rocket. Well, number 24.
हाँ जी हमजा, वेलकम बैक टू द शो. और मैंने नोट किया कि जब भी तुम शो के लिए हाँ करते हो ना, इंडिया अच्छी परफॉर्मेंस कर देती है. तो तुम लखनऊ से मेरे ख्याल से कोई लक लेकर आ रहे हो इंडिया के लिए. क्या ख्याल है तुम्हारा?
मैं हाँ ही तब करता हूँ जब इंडिया अच्छा कर रही थी. I'm not kidding. I was actually prepared for how bad India's performance has been in this test. But given that India had a horrible day one, I think they've bounced back. But this test match is still 90-10 in favor of England, and I do not see India winning this at all. A draw would be one of the biggest draws that India could pull off if they are able to. But hats off to how England have actually bounced back in this series, given how their first 2 tests have gone.
No doubt, England of course वैसे तो उनका बहुत अच्छा comeback था and it showed a lot of character जिस तरह वो इस टेस्ट में वापस आए हैं. But I think तुम इंडिया को थोड़ा undermine कर रहे हो. I think India is more capable than you think they are. और देखो 215 for 2 हैं, 139 runs रह गए हैं. The challenge will be कि कल का जो पहला सेशन है, it will start with the new ball. अब जो न्यू बॉल है हमजा, we both know that could go either way. एक तो वो it could get you quick wickets, मगर also बॉल hard होती है, बैट पे अच्छी आती है. So India could get runs as well. And both Virat Kohli and Cheteshwar Pujara are set. And let's suppose hypothetical situation. अगर इंडिया कल का दिन खेल जाती, ठीक है, पहला सेशन निकाल जाते हैं और कल का पूरा दिन खेल जाते हैं, that would mean that even if they score it like 2-3 runs and over, 2.5-3 runs and over, they'll end up with around a lead of over 100. और अगर फिर उसी सिचुएशन में वो आ गए, तो फिर I think India will start believing that they can bat the first session of the last day and get England all out in 60 overs.
I agree with that, but एक चीज है कि India cannot go with the mindset कि हमें balls बस खानी है यहाँ पे, because वो नहीं होने वाला है. The first hour of tomorrow's day would actually determine how India is doing. And I don't think that having a very defensive mindset would help India, because if we have an attacking mindset, we can actually push and get more runs. Like, for example, even if you see today's game, India started very slowly, but they gathered pace. And Pujara, Kohli, and Rohit, all of them were hitting runs, which is actually good for the second innings, in which the second innings that is going on. But having a defensive mindset might not help India here, because wickets will fall and we need to keep up the pace and get as many runs as possible. Because if on the last day, let's say everything goes well tomorrow, we hopefully see Kohli back with a century, the one that we've been actually looking for the past, I think, 2 years now.
51 innings, I think. It's 51 innings in international cricket.
Yes, so it's been a long time. If it comes through, it's going to be a huge boost for Kohli and the Indian team, given that Kohli has not had the best of series this time in England. So attacking mindset के साथ I think जाएंगे तो it's better for us. We'll score more runs and put pressure on England's bowling.
I think kal jab when they come out to bat, they'll first have to like judge the new ball, how much is it doing, do they have to leave more or not, because the pitch isn't playing any tricks so far. I do think that it'll start to spin soon, but filhal to there are no demons in the pitch. And in hindsight, Hamza, how crucial was that decision, toss wala? Because had India bowled first, they would have never have been in this decision, क्योंकि pitch तो बहुत ज़्यादा आसान हो गई है पहले से. You could see from the way both sides batted, and I think that decision alone might ultimately end up costing India.
I agree. I was actually going through a few articles on this where people said like the Leeds pitch is actually something that might turn, or it might actually seem on the first day, and batting first might not be the best decision. But India went for it. I think part of it was because our openers have been doing so well. So we have been constantly getting a 100-run partnership, or at least 80 or 90, so that we can build on that. And that didn't happen this time around. But I would not be overcritical. It can happen in games. It's fine. I think अगर हमने उसी पिच पे I think अभी 200-250 रन बना लिए होते तो this match would have been equally poised. So
bad. 250 को छोड़ो यार, I think अगर लीड सिर्फ 250 की होती तो इंडिया would have been looking at a win at this point. कि कल पूरा दिन बैटिंग करेंगे then put England to bat. It would have looked much different. So maybe though, you know, that last 50 odd runs that they conceded वो overturn or Karan से, maybe that could be the turning point of the game. But I want to pick your brain a little. थोड़ा curve ball फेंक के लगाऊं मैं तुम्हें. We all agree that Virat Kohli is a great leader. You can see the culture that he has bred in this Indian team. Everyone gives 110%. Everyone wants to win. Fitness pe khasa zoor hai. Everyone trusts their ability. So wo sab kuch to 100 marks out of 100 to Virat Kohli. But as a captain, as a tactician, how much do you rate him? Because I feel like he makes some horrendous decisions at times, like some real howlers in there. And I do consider this toss decision a howler.
Yes, that does happen with Virat, but I mean it's part and parcel of any captain who's coming in. You can always pick up things where you can criticize them. One thing about Virat is that he basically goes on what he is feeling at that particular time. He is very impulsive in nature, so it's not like that he'll get everything right every time. No captain would. But I think the attacking mindset actually helps India, and sometimes it kind of throws you away as well. So I think it's fine. A few things that I definitely have doubts on is basically Virat's reviews. I'm very critical about that. He doesn't do a good job on that. But the captaincy is fine. I think it's not something that that has disappointed. We have actually done well, so there's no reason to criticize based on a single match.
Chalo, fair enough. Before we get into the performances with respect to the match situation, I just want to ask you, hypothetically speaking, let's suppose that India survive the new ball, they bat out the day tomorrow. How many runs do you think they need lead ke upar? Like, kitna target you think India would give them a shot? Like, what target would give them a shot at defending this and winning the test match? Like, I personally think anything over 150 would get really, really tricky on day 5.
Absolutely. I think I agree with that as well. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I am not very optimistic on what is going to happen tomorrow. It's just about one wicket and the floodgates can open up with the Indian batting. I mean, it's not with Indian batting, it's with any team. Like, you can get the key wicket maybe of Kohli or maybe of Pujara, and then like the rest just walk along with it.
So yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, I would say that I think the first focus would be to get off the runs that we have right now, hopefully. After that, yes, I agree. Anything above 150 would be fair game, because it's not going to be easy in the last innings to get those many runs.
Listen, given the way Pujara and Kohli are playing right now, I think they'd back themselves to bat deep tomorrow and bat long. और वो तो यही सोच रहे होंगे कि ये मैच हम बचा लेंगे. I think that's the way Kohli thinks, that's the way his mindset works. But chalo, let's go into the performances. I'll start with the openers. KL Rahul, he's arguably been India's best batsman this series. ठीक है, इस मैच में नहीं चला, but even though he got only 8 runs before he was dismissed, I think he still batted time. 54 deliveries निकाल गया by the time he got out. कोई 19 overs हो चुके थे. New ball had pretty much been evaded. So I think he still did a job over there, if not a complete job.
Yep, I agree with that. Like, KL has actually been playing really well in the series, especially after coming back from his injury. And going through playing 50 odd balls, it actually helps the next batsman that's coming in, because the ball is all roughed up. Anderson will not be the Anderson who's there in the first over, so it's good. And credit to the bowler as well, and to Bairstow. That was
that was a phenomenal catch.
A good catch.
It makes you wonder why Bairstow isn't keeping. अगर वो glove के बगैर इस तरह की catch पकड़, खैर he's dropped a few in the series too, but slips के अंदर I think that was a phenomenal catch, no doubt. On to Rohit Sharma. So Rohit पे यार बहुत ज़्यादा criticism हुई है in the past that he's not a test player, he's only a white ball player. Then when he started playing well in India as an opener in Test cricket, it was like, oh, it's just in Indian or Asian conditions, abroad नहीं खेल सकता. And even though he still does not have 100 in Test cricket outside of India, I think इस series में he's done himself a huge favor. बहुत अच्छा audition था as an overseas opener. And we saw Rohit Sharma work really hard on his defensive game. Attacking batsman by nature and you saw that he batted time every single time he came out to bat. Even when he didn't get runs, कुछ 100 deliveries तो खेल जाता है वो. और आज भी he played north of 150 deliveries. He looked really really good for his 59. He was playing his shots too आगे जाके. Do you think Rohit Sharma has done enough to cement his place as India's opener regardless of conditions in Test cricket?
Yes, I do think so. Rohit has definitely answered his critics. I was, in fact, a very big critic of Rohit in the past. There was a joke with Rohit being called a Maggie man. It kind of says that he'll go in and it's a 10-minute noodle thing. He'll just go and come back. So I'm fine with that. I'll take that any day. And he's actually answered his critics really well. Be it white ball, be it red ball, both of them. And I think after Joe Root, he's the top scorer in 2021 this year in terms of Test cricket. So that actually tells you a lot on how Rohit has been playing, and India has not actually played a lot of Test cricket at home this year. So Rohit has done a phenomenal job, and I don't think that there is there is any replacement that can be taken right now.
I do agree with you over there. I think Rohit Sharma has actually done enough and he's cemented his spot. ठीक है, century नहीं कर पाया, but he's batted long every single time, even when he hasn't gotten runs. Or he has gotten a lot of runs. So I mean, there's that. And then I recently saw his interview with Dinesh Karthik, और he was like quite humble about that fact that Test cricket is hard. It's definitely the most difficult format he's played, and it takes a bit of adjusting. It's not easy out there.
Yep, I agree. Like, Test cricket actually is the hardest format. Like, look at this game. It's not going to be easy tomorrow. It's not a T20 कि भाई 200 रन चेस करने हैं और बस बाहर जाएंगे और बस मारते मारते 200 रन बन जाएंगे. That's not how it works. You have to have a lot of mental patience. You have to have a lot of cricket patience in terms कि भाई you have to see out overs from Anderson. You have to see out overs from the other bowlers, and then you also have to see out overs from Moeen Ali or, like, for example, part-time Joe Root. You don't want to give your wicket away there, so it's a mental challenge of its own, and I think that kind of brings the best out of batsmen if they are able to go through and cross that threshold.
I mean, of course, I do agree with that. And, mental fortitude is one of those traits that you really need to survive at this level. Because देखो, इस level पे जब आप आ जाते हो टीम के अंदर खेल रहे हो, तो you obviously have the talent. You were talented enough to get here. But to survive in Test cricket, if you don't have that mental strength, I don't think very many batsmen do survive, specifically batsmen. Even though bowlers के लिए it's more about the legs, I suppose. क्योंकि आजकल T20 cricket की वजह से, people don't really know how to bowl those long spells, 15-16 overs in a day. Let's move on to Cheteshwar Pujara. Ever since I've started CRIQAZI Diaries, have been hanging over his head with an axe. कि अब पुजारा जाएगा, मगर दाद तो देनी पड़ेगी. Pujara played a really good knock today. देखो, strike rate भी अच्छा था. And even though I would say that they bowled really badly to him, they kept feeding his leg side, और मतलब वो मारी जा रहा था, चौके मारी जा रहा था. I think that also helped Pujara, but I think again it goes down to that mental strength. इतने pressure के अंदर आप हो, 20 मैच हो गए, सेंचुरी नहीं बनाई हुई आपने, नाम आपका चेतेश्वर पुजारा है, सुनील गावस्कर आपको बातें कर रहे हैं. There's a lot of things to cope with over there, and this 91 was top drawer, and it's put India in a position where anything is possible. ठीक है, I agree that England is still in the driver's seat और कल की new ball पे बहुत कुछ पता चलेगा. But, as a neutral, I can completely see a situation over here in which Pujara and Kohli dig India out of this hole entirely.
Yep, I mean, if we are seeing Pujara and Kohli both raising the bats tomorrow, then England might be in trouble on day 5. Because एक बार इनकी 100s हुई, ये फिर नहीं छोड़ेंगे आपको, ये मारते रहेंगे, and then the runs start leaking. 150 की लीड बहुत ज्यादा नहीं दिखेगी, but then again I mean everything depends on the first.
वैसे जान बड़ी मारी है पुजारा ने, पता है, he was laboring through with his shots, लग रहा था अभी गिर जाएगा शॉट मारते मारते but no, I think credit where credit is due, and he's definitely silenced his critics including myself, and this century is going to be really important for him. वो 2019 में ऑस्ट्रेलिया का टूर जो था तब कहीं जाकर उसने सेंचुरी की हुई है, so this one's going to count for a lot, and the team really needed him. कल मैं ये बात कर रहा था शो पे with our guest Neil that India should just treat this as an opportunity, especially the middle order, Virat Kohli, Pujara, Rahane, to back themselves back into form regardless of the result. Spend time on the crease so zara वापस form में आए, and Kohli and Pujara have definitely grabbed that opportunity with open arms. और चलो फिर आ जाते हैं विराट कोहली पे. Looked really good today. वो cover drives भी निकल रही थी, flicks भी निकल रही थी. He looked quite sound on the crease. ठीक है, एक दो दफा थोड़ी near misses हुई भी हैं, but overall I'd say Virat Kohli, this is that sort of, he looks in that sort of touch where you feel like he's going to go and get 100, and then we've discussed this that 50-51 innings हो गई हैं उसको international cricket पे 100 किए हुए. So we've always said that he's probably one innings away from regaining that same kind of form. Do you think this could be that innings? Do you think Kohli could go on and score 100 tomorrow?
I hope so. being a Kohli fan, it's really hard. It's been a long time. You have to answer your critics that okay, I am the undisputed king of the 21st century, and I need to be on that stature. So Kohli actually has a lot of people to prove that there is no one who's going to go ahead of me. But Kohli के साथ वही है कि वो जो 4th and 5th stump line जो है, and it's just कि वही एंडरसन की एक बॉल घूमी and second slip या first slip पे catch. So I think उसको he needs to just let those balls go. If he is able to do that, and which he has been able to at least in this innings, then we'll be seeing Kohli back with a century.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's all about surviving that new ball. क्योंकि देखो जब आप एक दिन अब खत्म होता है टेस्ट क्रिकेट में, how often have we seen that a batsman who's well set, who scored a lot of runs, comes out to bat the next day, regardless of how old the ball is. यहाँ तो फिर new ball आ गई है. They get out without scoring a run. So you have to play yourself in once again, and that will be a challenge for Kohli tomorrow. Jimmy Anderson's going to come all guns blazing at him. Anderson तो वैसे भी थोड़ा frustrated होगा. He didn't bowl well at all, especially to Pujara today. But I think this might be that time where Virat Kohli, finally he gets that century, and I think he really needs this one. मतलब मैं और तुम बात कर रहे थे कि जो रूट को फैब 4 में होना चाहिए, तो यहाँ कहीं कोहली ना निकल जाए फैब 4 से.
हालात तो वही लग रहा है, लेकिन वही है कि I think India needs to win one of these games, or at least draw it out, because we have seen India perform well in test. It's not like हम खराब खेले, but we have actually not been able to get ourselves out of situations where we are in trouble, except I think the odd third test in Australia when Pant just went through and drew the game. That was the only one that I remember in the past where we were able to dig it out. But we need more games like that, because that's something that will actually cement your team as the best. Winning situation में obviously बात है कि हम बहुत ही अच्छा खेलते हैं, हमारी अटैक बहुत अच्छा हो जाता है, and everything is going our way. But if the winds are against us, I think that's the time when we need to put ourselves to test, and we need to perform.
That is the beauty of Test cricket, right? पहले 2 दिन के बाद कौन सोच सकता था कि हम यहाँ पे डिस्कस कर रहे होंगे कि can India save the game? How much runs do they need? But you made a very good point about the bounce back ability of this Indian team, and that Australia tour पहले test पे 36 all out. Everyone thought कि ये तो मतलब it's going to be a rampage, and the Australians are upset about their previous series loss at home, तो इस दफा वो बदला लेंगे. But India bounced back, and without all of their main players. So we've seen the character in this team. Self-belief is definitely there, and I do think they'll come out tomorrow thinking कि हम लोग 500 मारकर इनको ही out करके जीत जाएंगे. I'm very, very confident that's exactly how Virat Kohli is thinking. But of course, they will understand and recognize the importance of that first session. कि नई ball निकालनी है, उसके बाद batting will not be too hard. Outfield तेज है. Headingley की pitch, it's only gotten better, I'd say, as time has gone on. But हाँ, देखते हैं कि कर पाते हैं कोहली या रहाने or not, and if they do manage to bounce back from the 78 not out or all out, to go on and save the game or win the game, that's going to be like, it's going to rank right up there in some of the finest tests India's ever played.
Yeah, I agree. And I think tomorrow we are focusing on Anderson, Overton, and like English bowlers, English fast bowlers. But I think Moeen Ali will come into picture as well tomorrow because day 4 the pitch starts spinning, and I think that will be very crucial. It will be really crucial to see how Moeen Ali does. If he's not able to pick up wickets, then it might be going bad for England from there, because with the wicket spinning, it can go anywhere.
Yeah, and Moeen, you know, he's been successful against India in the past. वो जो धोनी वाली series थी, particularly in that series, Moeen was, I think he was a standout bowler. हर match में wicket ली थी. So Moeen का भी comeback चल रहा है. We are yet to see the best of him. I was really disappointed with the way he got out actually. क्योंकि जो Butler और Moeen थे, उनके लिए तो tailor-made थी वो position to completely bat India out of the game. But they didn't. And here you see 350 run भी इधर शायद लग रहा है कि enough नहीं है. And that's the point I'm trying to make, right? 350 ना होते ये 300 होते, 250 होते, we would be having a completely different conversation. So I guess credit to Overton and Curran, क्योंकि 300 पे लग तो रहा था कि England फारिग हो जाएगी, but then they got that lead to 350. But yeah, I mean it's a really exciting test match now, isn't it? उर्दू में कहते हैं ना सनसनीखेज मुकाबला. ये इसको, ये जो इंडिया में हमारे व्यूअर्स हैं, इनको जरा मैं बता दूं कि ये कहते हैं इसको. तुम्हें तो पता होगा, तुम तो लखनऊ से हो, पाकिस्तान से बेहतर उर्दू वहां पे बोलते हैं. सुनने में तो यही आता है. But
नाजुक सूरत हाल है हमारे थोड़े, लेकिन देखते हैं कहाँ पे जाता है वाला टेस्ट.
Yeah, but खैर मेरे ख्याल से as far as momentum is concerned, India have definitely regained some of that. क्योंकि they looked rattled on days 1 and 2. Fielding भी नहीं हो रही थी, जडेजा misfield कर रहा है, overthrows हो रही हैं, and now you see a little bit of, you know, composure कि okay, you know, let's just take it session by session and go from there. And ऊपर से I have been really disappointed with the way England have bowled, honestly. The lines have been off, or sometimes they've been too full. पहले वो they were too short in that game. अब वो मुझे लग रहा है थोड़ा ज़्यादा over pitch कर रहे हैं. We've seen a lot of drives, and then those practice pitches, they really make a difference in the outfield, don't they? So runs will come easy over here, no doubt about that. And I do honestly feel कि अगर इंडिया पहला सेशन निकाल गया तो they can actually, मुझे तो लग रहा है they have an outside chance of winning this. 150-160 का टारगेट दे दिया ना, तो इंग्लैंड के पता दिमाग में प्रेशर आ जाएगा कि oh wow, we were in a position where we were in completely pole position to win this test match. 78 all out कर दिया आपने. You should never lose a test match from there. फिर 354 की लीड के बाद भी you should never lose. So I think that might do a number on their mentality, और वो शायद थोड़े under pressure आ जाएं. English are obviously famous across sport for crumbling under pressure. वो तो Ben Stokes जिता गया इनको World Cup, वरना वहाँ भी हो गया था काम. But yeah, I honestly think India are in with a slight chance. तुमने अगर 90-10 का है, I'm going to go with 80-20. But of course, Jimmy Anderson, आखिर Jimmy Anderson है, and we've all seen how he's responded after that first test. You know, he acknowledged the fact that he lost his composure. He lost his the battle with emotions overcame him. So usne ye, you know, he's mature enough to realize that, and you know, he was poor today, he would want to prove a point tomorrow. So I think that would be India's biggest task, and then very rightly pointed out by UK Moeen Ali on a 4th day pitch would be a handful. But so would Ravi Jadeja, right? If England come out to bat. And England aren't too impressive versus spin. But khair, England की जो बैटिंग है, I think they obviously like they made some very crucial changes. I think David Malan को लाना बहुत जरूरी था. एक तो वो बहुत अच्छा खेल रहा था ऑफ साइड पे, he cut really well, he drove really well. But also I feel like वही बात आ जाती है ना mental strength की. The fact that he's performed for England in limited overs internationals, that counts for something over here. यहाँ पे आकर that must have definitely helped him, and he's improved his game from the last time he played Test cricket. And then Haseeb Hameed and Rory Burns, they look better than Sibley and Rory Burns. But Rory Burns is a flip of a coin for me. कभी वो चल जाता है, कभी वो नहीं चलता. But yeah, I think 150 तक शायद England chase कर लेगी. Anything over that, I think it gets really tricky there on.
Yeah, it's a fair game after 150. I mean, totally depends. A couple of quick wickets and everything can change. But then again, I mean, all this is based on how the Anderson versus Kohli Pujara goes in the first session tomorrow.
And of course, you do need a little bit of the rub of the green in cricket or any sport. रोहित को आज मिल गई थी, LB हो गया था वो, मगर उन्होंने रिव्यू ही नहीं लिया. तो रूट को मुझे लगता है कोहली वाली बीमारी हो गई है. नहीं खैर, कोहली वाली बीमारी नहीं हुई, कोहली ने तो ले लिया. कोई भी चीज होती ले लिया होता.
कोहली
But
क्या ये रहता है, ले लो चलेगा, देखेंगे हो गया तो ठीक है, नहीं हुआ तो थोड़ी सी गाली खा लेंगे ट्विटर पे और फिर क्या उसके बाद लोग भूल जाएंगे.
but खैर, just before we end this volume, थोड़ा सा मैं बात करना चाहूंगा जो रूट पे. I know Neil and I spent a lot of time on him yesterday, but you know, the fact that he's in such prolific form, मतलब इस वक्त तो वो टेस्ट क्रिकेट में टॉप बैट्समैन जा रहा है. 600s in the calendar year already, which is the joint highest for any English batsman. The most for a captain in test cricket in a year is 7 by Ricky Ponting, so he could very well break that. The most for a batsman in a calendar year is Mohammad Yusuf's record of 9 centuries. उसका भी chance है because Root has 5 more tests to go. 2 in this series and then 3 Ashes tests, provided he remains fit. And then he's only 390 runs behind Mohammad Yusuf's record of 1788 runs in a calendar year. Albeit in a lot more test matches, Yusuf only got it in 19 innings. Root की तो already मेरे ख्याल से 19 से ज़्यादा हो गई होंगी. But you know, the fact that he's upped his game so much and there were questions raised over his conversion rate कि 50 कर लेता है, 100 नहीं कर पाता. जिस तरह उसने रिस्पॉन्ड किया टेस्ट क्रिकेट में इस साल, एंड द वे ही जस्ट प्लेज द स्पोर्ट, जिस स्ट्राइक रेट के साथ खेल रहा है, how late he's playing the ball, and also the way he carries himself. He's also a great ambassador for the sport, you know. बहुत तमीज़दार approach है उसकी, and he says all of the right things. Do you think Root will go on to break all of these records?
He just might. I mean, he has been fabulous in this series. I think 300 now, 100 every match. And there's no stopping him. I mean, I think we were discussing this in the first game as well. It seems to be Root versus India, and like it has been. So I think Root has definitely answered his critics. There's no questioning that. And if he carries on like this, he'll break a lot of records. I think he also has one more record that he could break, which is Bradman's record of having the most runs in a calendar year against
versus a single opposition. Yes,
single
and
opposition.
India to heavy uski favorite
and he's
opposition.
100 runs. Yeah, he's 100 runs behind, so that's very doable.
Yeah, I mean, एक तो देखो, India is his favorite opposition. 23 test hundreds है उसके. He's the joint second highest now with KP for England. 34 पे top पे Sir Alistair Cook है. But India जो है, it's his favorite opposition to play against. He's gotten 8 hundreds against them, which is the most hundreds by any cricketer in India-England tests. So I could see that happening. In fact, I could see him break Mohammad Yusuf's record in this series alone. Just it's prodigious form at this point, and yeah, he's so aesthetically pleasing. Like, you're, you know, opposition team ke tum fan ho, but I'm sure even you appreciate how good he's been, and he's so brilliant to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, see, being a fan of India doesn't really mean that you want India to always just tramp over the teams that they're playing. You want to have a game where both of them are actually at par and the best team wins, irrespective of how it's going on. So, like, definitely it's something to appreciate that after the first test, after the first 2 tests, in fact, England has been able to bounce back, and seeing Root play that well, it's just good for test cricket. Like, the more players like this come up for test cricket, the more it gets popularity, and that kind of solidifies the stance that I personally believe that test cricket is the best format.
It's the pinnacle, and I'm a purist as well. I would watch test cricket any day, and जो test match की हार है ना, it stings a lot more than any T20 or ODI ever could. ठीक है, maybe the tournament T20s and ODIs maybe not, because tournament का अपना चक्कर होता है. There are more feelings attached to that, and there's something at stake. But yeah, I 100% agree. Test cricket is that pinnacle, and Virat Kohli and Joe Root both, they give it that sort of importance. And you know, just one final point on Root. I feel like, yeah, Hamza, to average over 50 in test cricket when you play your test cricket, the majority of your tests at home in England, English conditions, जहाँ पे batsman के लिए वैसे ही बड़ा मुश्किल होता है. You look at other English batsmen, English greats, they don't even average 50. बहुत पीछे जाना पड़ता है आपको. Wally Hammond and some of those guys, you know, they average over 50, but KP is at 47 point something, Cook is at 45 point something. So I think to average over 50, और Root ने इसी साल ही वापस लाया अपनी average over 50. That's a phenomenal record, and especially when you've played over 100 tests. I think he's at 108. So I honestly would love to see him keep on going the way he's going, and Ashes bhi jitaye England ko. I've always supported England in Ashes for some reason, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long year for him. और भी बहुत ज़्यादा tests पड़े हैं, so he has every opportunity of breaking all of those records.
Yeah, yeah. Looking forward to this test, the series itself, and I think Ashes for England is going to be crucial. But yeah, I mean, with Test cricket going on, any day can turn up to be anything. We've seen that here. A day one England being Lions, and then a day three England is not being able to scrap up Kohli and Pujara, and that kind of tells you the beauty of Test cricket. It's like if day one was yours, there's no guarantee that the second day would be.
Yeah, and off late, Test cricket, इतने अच्छे आपने Test matches देखे हैं. There have been series which have been such a good advert for the sport. Pakistan West Indies was a cracker. Now this series is turning out to be extremely mouth-watering, and there's not more a cricket fan could possibly ask for. So let's see how this remainder of the series goes. Of course, India have every chance of winning the series still, but I think England, they'll back themselves. Kal aake ye out kare. And let's see, honestly, I'm really curious, and I can't wait for day 4. All right, folks, that's a wrap for volume 32. Thank you so much, Hamza, for making the episode. And of course, if any of you enjoyed this video, as always, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon in order to be notified about my latest videos. If you have any questions for the CRIQAZI panel, the guest, and myself, whoever comes on the show, that you want addressed in future episodes, you can tweet them at DefMango using the hashtag AskCRIQAZI. I'll catch you guys after day 4. That's all for now. Kazi off the mic.
Have a look at that, miles up, oh, it's nearly taken someone out of the stands. That was a flat 6 right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went like a